You know, it has been said that a good introduction makes your mother proud, but surprises your father. Well, both my parents are here, and I was watching their faces closely. It does seem the introduction may have passed that test. But interestingly, and closer to the moot, George and Clover, they got married in 1962, the year we received our new constitution. They have always been committed to Project Independence. They imbued myself and my siblings, there were 5 of us in all, with love for and pride in Jamaica. As children, we were made aware of national symbols, of the need to stand when the national anthem was played. I have fond memories of participation in Independence Day parades in Falmouth, Trelawney, where we spent our early years. Yet, I doubt my parents ever became aware of the content of the new Constitution. Neither did I, until I embarked on the study of law. This is remarkable. In a society where for 400 years, the vast majority had been effectively excluded from participation in the formal structures of governance, one would have expected a greater emphasis on public education about the Constitution after 1962. You see, societal norms and people's mode of conduct, people's behavior, are as much a cultural manifestation as it is a result of dictate. A law is more likely to be generally obeyed if it accords with values passed from one generation to another. Conversely, if the law runs counter to those values, it is likely not to be willingly obeyed. The value system, or if you will, the culture, is a direct result of the historical experience of the people. This is true at the macro level of the state, but is also true at the micro level of individuals in a family. Therefore, as we discuss constitutional reform, I suggest it is important to bear in mind that cultural dimension. Before I go on, it is a good time to remind you all that I do not speak for the judiciary. I could not do so even if I wanted to. This is because Jamaica has an independent judiciary. Independent means not only that no politician or businessman or anyone else can tell any judge what to do or think, but also that one judge cannot tell another what to do or think. It means also that we ought not to circumscribe our freedom to decide issues one way or the other. The Chief Justice is first among equals, and the principle also applies to the holder of that office. So today, I can only give my views. However, I must exercise my independence responsibly. Judges ought not to prejudge cases or express opinions on issues that may possibly come before them. Therefore, I will not be didactic in the views I express, and I will endeavor not to make value judgments. I may share ideas and suggest possible approaches, but hopefully will not cross an unwritten line. The Constitution, to get back to the theme, has mechanisms to protect your judge's independence. And in this process of reform, hopefully, nothing will be done to put the independence of the judiciary in jeopardy. In this regard, let me suggest that the process of constitutional reform may be as important as the changes that may be made to the Constitution. What do I mean? Well, consider, judging by the voter turnout in recent elections, public interest in public affairs seems to be in decline. and this may be why the moderator asked me that question. My own unscientific observations suggest that many people are skeptical about constitutional reform and regard it as something for the big man or somebody else. The disinterest may have many causes. People could be turned off by the nature of our politics and its associations, particularly persons old enough to recall the conflicts of the 70s. It may also be the lack of a direct correlation between constitutional reform and economic benefits. After all, most of us are more concerned with making a living, and there may be other reasons. I suggest, however, that public interest or disinterest, if you will, may be in part cultural. Culture I use in its broadest possible sense. It implies behavior or norms passed on from one generation to another, and therefore is directly linked to our history and experience. Let us not forget that in the 400 years of colonization, approximately half of which the majority in this country were enslaved, the authorities executed policies designed to exclude the majority from participation in the affairs of state. Control over the majority was maintained by the dual techniques of brute force on the one hand and miseducation or non-education on the other. It was for a long time the policy of the colonial state not to educate most Jamaicans. Later, when education was provided, it was largely elementary and designed to sustain the plantation economy. Therefore, for example, no universities were built. Notwithstanding some amelioration of that situation in the later colonial period, it has been estimated that in 1962, as many as 40% of Jamaicans were illiterate. All this, I think, has had a profound impact on our efforts to build a nation. In 1962, regrettably, as I have said earlier, not much of an effort was made to involve the people of Jamaica in the process of constitutional creation. There was no National Assembly called. There was insufficient time, something like 6 weeks, allotted for public input. The document was not even put to the people for a vote by way of a referendum. The new constitution was drafted by delegates appointed by the two political parties, then taken to England, where with adjustments it was passed into law. The Constitution of Jamaica is therefore a schedule to an act of the UK Parliament. Not surprisingly, most Jamaicans have internalized neither its content nor the value system it represents. In the 60 years since independence, not enough was done to educate Jamaicans in school, at the workplace, or even in Jamal classes about their constitution. Now, 61 years later, we have an opportunity to correct past errors. This time around, the process can involve genuine public education about the Constitution. What is it? What purpose does it serve? What it contains, as well as the rights and responsibilities of citizens. Jamaicans should then be better able to decide whether to change and what to change and how to change. Participation in the process of constitutional change is likely to be increased as a result of this. Public participation may also be encouraged if the proposed changes relate or are related to the daily lives of Jamaicans. Jamaicans may, for example, consider that the replacement of the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice should accompany the removal of the King of England as head of state. They may come to this appreciation because the Privy Council is an advisory body to the King. So why keep the advisory body to the King as a court? They may ask themselves. An appreciation of the relative costs and accessibility of each course should also resonate with our population. Jamaicans may consider that corruption being the problem it is, and the drain on the national budget it represents, that anti-corruption agencies should be strengthened. This may be done by placing in the constitutional entrenchment provisions similar to those which protect the judges. In this way, the Integrity Commission, INDICOM, the Office of the Public Defender, would do their jobs without the possibility of victimization. The people of Jamaica may consider that the head of the executive, rather than being selected from among the members of Parliament, should be directly elected by the people of Jamaica. They may believe that he should be able to select the ministers in his cabinet from among persons outside of Parliament. In this way, their MPs can focus more time on holding the executive to account and advocating for their constituents. The electorate may consider that appointments to statutory boards and executive agents are best done after a process involving examination of nominees by the people's elected representatives. This can be a hedge against inappropriate or unqualified appointments. The creation of a process by which incompetent persons may be impeached by the electorate is another change to the Constitution which may resonate. To this list of possible changes which relate to our people's daily existence, I add the protection of the environment, a change designed to enhance the individual's access to an effective remedy when such rights are breached, is likely to attract public participation and support. These few ideas, and I'm sure there are many more, demonstrate constitutional change which will be of interest or may be of interest to our people. A process of consultation which lets people know their voice will be heard, that their opinions matter, and the way proposed change will impact their daily lives should increase public interest and participation. I suggest that at the end of that process, and after a plebiscite is held, the Constitution should be a document made by Jamaicans, in Jamaica, which Jamaicans truly own and understand. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.